has the relationship between Queen Camilla and Princess Catherine taken a sour turn?
In the grand corridors of Buckingham Palace, power doesn't always wear a crown. And in the ever-evolving drama of the British monarchy, two women have risen to remarkable heights. Queen Camilla, the most controversial figure in royal history, and Catherine, the beloved people's princess. Now, in what insiders are calling a quiet yet undeniable power shift, the balance between these two royal women has tilted, and not in the direction many once expected. What happens when the woman the crown chose is no longer the woman the people want? Join us as we reveal the secret ceremony that changed everything. The secret ceremony. A crown in the shadows. It didn't happen in Westminster Abbey. According to multiple royal insiders, the so-called quiet coronation of Princess Catherine didn't follow any public protocols. There were no photographers, no television cameras, and certainly no cheering crowds outside the gates. Instead, it was intimate, sacred, and meticulously orchestrated to avoid leaks, though, as we now know, that didn't exactly work. This wasn't the kind of coronation that history books record. This was something else. Something quieter, deeper, and more dangerous. According to multiple palace insiders, a clandestine ceremony took place at one of the royal family's most private estates, possibly Balmoral. The location was chosen for its discretion, and the timing was intentional, away from the cameras and from the crown's formal protocol. But that's not all. Those present were a carefully curated inner circle: royal traditionalists, trusted aides, spiritual figures, and members of the aristocracy who hold immense influence behind the scenes. These weren't just guests. They were believers. Believers in a different vision for the future of the monarchy. In that dimly lit hall, surrounded by centuries of royal history, Catherine was symbolically crowned, not by parliament, not by law, but by a select few who still believe the true essence of monarchy lies not in bureaucracy, but in legacy, loyalty, and blood-deep instinct. Sources suggest that a crown from Queen Mary's private collection, once worn by Elizabeth herself during intimate royal rites, was brought out for this moment. Catherine reportedly resisted at first, hesitant to overshadow King Charles or disturb the current order, but in the end, she stepped forward, not to seize power but to accept the weight of what many believe is already hers. And then, as quickly as it began, the gathering dissolved. No public photos, no press release, only a ripple, a tremor felt across the royal circle, the kind of moment that changes everything, even if it happens behind closed doors. So why now? Why this secret move? Well, let's connect the dots. King Charles's health remains a point of concern, even though palace officials insist he's managing his duties. There's talk of increased responsibilities being handed to William and Catherine, and public polls show an overwhelming shift in affection and loyalty toward Catherine, while Camilla's numbers stagnate or dip. And what a shift it is! This event may not appear in history books yet, but make no mistake, royal watchers, this was a private coronation in all but name. Catherine may not wear the crown in public, but behind palace walls, she is already being treated like the true queen-in-waiting, and possibly the real queen right now, in spirit and function. But before we dive into Camilla's explosive reaction to all this, we need to understand the women at the heart of this power shift. Who is Catherine, the quiet force rising in the royal ranks? And who is Camilla, the queen who's always walked in Diana's shadow? Let's meet the two women fighting for the crown, one in daylight, the other in legacy. Meet the queens, Camilla and Catherine. The crown is more than jewels and titles. It's a battle of legacy, loyalty, and love. And behind this silent war are two very different women: Catherine, the people's queen, and Camilla, the queen in the shadows. Camilla Rosemary, Shand, now queen consort. Camilla has walked one of the most controversial roads in royal history. She entered royal consciousness not through tiaras and grand processions, but through scandal. Famously known as the other woman in the tragic fairy tale of Charles and Diana. For years, her name was whispered with disdain, cast as the villain in a love triangle that rocked the monarchy to its core. She was booed in public, vilified by the tabloids, and essentially exiled from public acceptance. But behind palace doors, Camilla endured. In what might be the greatest image rehabilitation project in modern royal history, Camilla slowly and strategically rebuilt her place. When she finally married Charles in 2005, and their relationship became public and eventually official, she took on royal duties with a quiet, almost reluctant grace. She kept a low profile for years, gradually stepping into the spotlight only after Diana's death. She focused on charity work, particularly supporting causes related to osteoporosis awareness, literacy, and domestic violence survivors, all close to her heart and far from political controversy. Her contributions were not flashy, but consistent. Camilla represented the crown at hundreds of engagements annually, often flying under the radar but playing a crucial stabilizing role for a family frequently engulfed in scandal. Her deep knowledge of the royal machine and her private influence on King Charles, especially in matters of state and family, cannot be underestimated. And in 2022, Queen Elizabeth II publicly endorsed her as Queen Consort upon Charles's eventual ascension, effectively legitimizing Camilla's place in royal history. It was a coronation of redemption, but as we're learning now, perhaps not one of permanence. Though Camilla wears the crown beside King Charles, she's never truly shaken the ghosts of the past. For many, her presence still triggers memories of Diana, and comparisons she will never escape. She holds the title, she does the work, but behind palace walls and beyond public view, she remains a controversial queen, standing in a spotlight she was never meant to share. Then came Catherine Middleton, the fresh-faced, poised commoner who would quietly, irrevocably change the monarchy's future. Born Catherine Elizabeth Middleton, this Berkshire-born commoner never had royal blood, but she had something far rarer: public devotion. Catherine met Prince William at the University of St. Andrews, where her love story with Prince William began and bloomed under intense media scrutiny, and matured into a model of royal stability. She wasn't just marrying into the family, she was being groomed, perhaps unknowingly, to lead it. Catherine's public transformation was seamless. She was never loud, never controversial, and always camera-ready. But behind the flawless exterior was a razor-sharp strategist. From the beginning, she focused on connecting with the British people on a deeper level, especially young families, mental health advocacy, and early childhood development. Her work with institutions like the Royal Foundation, Heads Together, and the launch of the Shaping Us campaign showcased her commitment to real, lasting societal change. And over the years, Catherine has mastered the impossible. She's become beloved by both traditional royalists and modern progressives. With every wave, curtsy, and charity initiative, she's written a new kind of royal playbook, one filled with restraint, warmth, and precision. She brought a distinctly modern touch to royal protocol, blending glamour with groundedness and tradition with relatability. Catherine rarely gave interviews, avoided gossip, and kept her private life fiercely protected. But each public appearance was a masterclass in image control, everything from her fashion to her gestures subtly reinforcing her status as the monarchy's future. But above all, Catherine is seen as the spiritual successor to Princess Diana, the one woman the public still worships more than any royal in history. Unlike her late mother-in-law, Catherine has played the long game, quietly becoming the monarchy's secret weapon. And unlike Camilla, Catherine was never the outsider in the eyes of the public. From the moment she became the Duchess of Cambridge, she was embraced with near-unanimous affection. Her approval ratings rivaled, and at times exceeded, those of the Queen herself. With William by her side, she became the face of the new monarchy, youthful, elegant, and politically neutral. Her greatest power came not from asserting herself loudly, but from making it impossible to imagine the monarchy without her. And so, the stage was set. Two women from entirely different worlds, both rising to prominence within the same palace walls. Camilla, the survivor hardened by scandal and skilled in behind-the-scenes diplomacy. Catherine, the golden girl adored by the press and armed with an intuitive sense of public connection. For years, they coexisted, Camilla remained Charles's consort, dutifully performing ceremonial functions and supporting him as king. Catherine, meanwhile, was groomed to represent the future alongside Prince William, taking on more senior roles, spearheading initiatives, and subtly shaping public perception of the firm. But recent events, particularly the secret ceremony that quietly crowned Catherine as the family's symbolic queen, have illuminated a deeper truth. This was never a tale of harmony. It was a tale of transition. One queen held the crown in the present, the other, she is the future, and perhaps, now, the present as well. What began as a delicate dance of titles has now become a silent, high-stakes game of relevance and legacy. Camilla may have worn the crown, but Catherine, in the eyes of the family and the people, is the monarch they're already following. Catherine is the polished outsider who became the perfect royal. Camilla is the insider who clawed her way back from disgrace. And now, in the most unexpected twist, their silent rivalry has reached a boiling point because Catherine wasn't just praised in private, she was crowned. And Camilla? Her reaction might be the final crack in a monarchy already under pressure. Camilla's cold fury. While the private ceremony may have been framed as symbolic, its real consequence wasn't just the subtle crowning of Catherine. It was the visible unraveling of Queen Camilla's composure. Camilla, once the central female figure beside King Charles, has always fought for her place within the royal family. And now, in the blink of a royal ritual she wasn't even invited to witness, that carefully built position seems to have been quietly and quite devastatingly eclipsed. Camilla's reaction, according to palace observers, was not dramatic in the theatrical sense. There were no tantrums or outbursts. But those who know how the royal family functions understood that silence and withdrawal speak louder than any public declaration. In the days following the ceremony, her absence from events she was expected to attend raised eyebrows. Where she did appear, the difference was stark. Her usually well-managed expressions gave way to stiffness. Her distance from Catherine became palpable, and her interactions with the public lacked their usual warmth. The Queen, for all her experience, seemed shaken, her body language stiff, her expressions carefully guarded. She had been blindsided, and it showed. For years, Camilla has walked a difficult path, entering the royal family under the long shadow of Princess Diana's legacy. She endured intense public scrutiny and decades of whispered disapproval. Winning over the British public took time and a relentless effort to appear dutiful, modest, and inoffensive. The late Queen Elizabeth's formal endorsement of her as Queen Consort was meant to be the final stamp of legitimacy, the moment Camilla truly stepped into the light as a royal figure of respect and permanence. But the truth is, that crown always sat a little uneasily. Camilla was accepted, tolerated, even admired by some, but rarely adored. And within the palace, those tensions never fully disappeared. Catherine, on the other hand, entered the family as the commoner who quickly became Britain's sweetheart. Her transformation from university girlfriend to the future queen was seamless. She earned the trust of Queen Elizabeth, handled royal duties with grace, and became a modern-day royal archetype, stylish yet modest, warm yet reserved, always appropriate. The media adored her, the people rallied around her, and most crucially, within the firm itself, she was viewed as a steadying force, someone who could be the face of a more relatable, future-forward monarchy. That quiet but growing reverence for Catherine was always there, but Camilla may have underestimated just how deep it ran. The ceremony, private though it may have been, appears to have cemented what many within the institution had quietly accepted, that Catherine is not just the Princess of Wales. She is, symbolically and strategically, the Queen-in-waiting not merely by virtue of her marriage, but by the strength of her presence and the approval of the monarchy's inner circle. That shift in perception, even if unspoken publicly, represents a deep blow to Camilla's own role. While she still holds the title of Queen Consort, it has started to look increasingly ceremonial, a temporary title holding space until the true face of the monarchy takes center stage. In this context, Camilla's coldness isn't petty jealousy. It's something more existential. She has fought for her place, endured the worst of public ridicule, and finally achieved what once seemed impossible. To now see that position overshadowed not by scandal or failure, but by another woman's silent ascension is more than humiliating. It's destabilizing. For someone who worked so hard to secure her seat at the table, watching it shift out from under her quietly, subtly, without confrontation, is perhaps the cruelest twist of all. This isn't a palace feud in the traditional sense. It's not loud, messy, or public. It's far more dangerous than that. What's unfolding is a delicate, silent recalibration of power, one that leaves Camilla increasingly on the periphery, while Catherine steps confidently into the role the world, and now, perhaps the family believes was always hers to inherit. In the centuries-old game of thrones played behind palace gates, power isn't always seized in the way the public expects. Crowns are not only passed through ceremony and birthright, they are claimed through public trust, symbolic presence, and quiet dominance. And now, the royal family appears to be living through one of its most pivotal, if unspoken, transitions in modern history. And now, with her symbolic crowning whispered behind palace doors and echoed across headlines and hashtags, the shift has become undeniable. Catherine has crossed a threshold. She is no longer simply the wife of the future king. She is the monarchy's present and its future, a queen not in title, but in truth. This isn't just about a private ritual or a royal reshuffling. This is about the monarchy as a living, breathing institution responding to a world in flux. In an age when relevance is everything, the crown must rest not only on heads, but on hearts. And in the hearts of millions, Catherine is already sovereign. Even more compelling is the way she has ascended, not through scandal, not through spectacle, but through the kind of silent, strategic influence that defines true royalty. She has watched, waited, learned, and adapted. She has never chased the throne, and yet it has come to her. Camilla may still hold the official title, but her presence, once necessary for Charles's reign to feel whole, is quietly being dimmed. And perhaps that's the most painful truth of all, that she won the crown, only to watch it fade in the glow of someone else's quiet brilliance. This power shift between Camilla and Catherine didn't happen in a vacuum. It's been quietly building through real events, visible to anyone who's been paying close attention. Take, for instance, Queen Camilla's absence from significant royal events in 2024 due to health issues. But insiders whispered about deeper tensions. In her absence, it was Catherine who emerged as the star, walking in with poise, grace, and a commanding presence that had every headline screaming, "Queen in waiting." That same day, tabloids barely mentioned Camilla's name. The press instead focused on Catherine's coat dress, her confident wave, and her clear command of the spotlight. It was a moment that visually and symbolically told the public, she's ready. Then there was the Royal Foundation Center for Early Childhood launch in late 2023. Catherine didn't just show up to support a cause, she spearheaded it. With a solo speech delivered at BAFTA headquarters, flanked by top experts and policymakers, she was hailed not only as a modern royal, but as a leader in her own right. Coverage in The Times, The Telegraph, and international outlets like the New York Times praised her clarity, emotional intelligence, and ability to make soft power feel substantial. This wasn't a ribbon cutting. This was policy shaping, and Camilla nowhere in sight. The contrast between Catherine's hands-on, reform-minded role and Camilla's quieter, traditional charity patronages could not have been clearer. Even Catherine's 2024 solo trip to Denmark was viewed as a strategic masterstroke. Representing the crown abroad, she met with Queen Mary and explored early childhood initiatives, a subject she's made her personal platform. The international press described the visit as flawless, with Danish media openly admiring her command of royal diplomacy. It was one of the first major royal tours without Charles or William, and yet it felt complete. Some even said it felt like a Queen's tour. And then, of course, there are the numbers. Catherine's approval ratings have consistently soared above 70% in UK polls, making her the most beloved senior royal after the late Queen Elizabeth II. In contrast, Camilla's approval ratings have hovered around the mid-30s, better than in the past, but nowhere near Catherine's commanding popularity. The message from the public is clear. Catherine is the future they already believe in. It's this string of tangible, real-world moments, not just fashion choices or smiles at balcony appearances, that make her rise unstoppable. Every absence from Camilla, every moment Catherine steps up, is a step closer to a new kind of monarchy, one led not by inherited position, but by earned reverence. And while Camilla held the crown, Catherine was quietly building an empire of influence. One charity event, one state visit, one flawless photo op at a time. But behind every royal shift in power, there's always a king trying to hold the crown together. And this is where things get interesting. So now, the royal chessboard looks very different. Charles is still king. Camilla still reigns beside him. But in the eyes of the public, press and palace alike are on Catherine. Her influence is no longer a whisper. It's a roar behind a velvet curtain. And the question isn't whether she will become queen, it's whether she already is. In the end, the crown doesn't choose who wears it. The people do, and they've already chosen Catherine. So what happens now that the real queen has stepped into her power without asking for permission? We'll soon find out. But this isn't just a tale of two royal women. It's a mirror held up to the monarchy itself, a centuries-old institution facing a crossroads in the post-Elizabethan age. What's unfolding between Catherine and Camilla is more than personal. It's symbolic. It's a quiet referendum on what kind of queen the modern public will accept, and what kind of monarchy Britain is willing to embrace moving forward. For the first time in living memory, a queen by marriage is being overshadowed by a future queen-in-waiting, not because of birthright, but because of presence, symbolism, and sheer public will. This shift could redefine how royal power is perceived. Is legitimacy still about who holds the title, or is it about who holds the people's loyalty? Under Queen Elizabeth II, the crown was steady, stoic, and untouchable. She defined an era. But with her passing, the monarchy is now testing its resilience under a new kind of scrutiny, one that values relatability over rigidity, emotional intelligence over inherited duty. And in this new royal atmosphere, Catherine's brand of monarchy fits the future far better than Camilla's echoes of the past. And what does this say about King Charles? Here lies the quiet tension. Has Charles, the man who spent decades fighting for Camilla's legitimacy, now recognized that the survival of the firm may lie not with the queen at his side, but with the one standing quietly behind his son? Every move he makes now, every speech, every appearance, every moment of visibility granted to either woman will be read as a signal. Is he trying to preserve Camilla's short reign, or is he already paving the way for Catherine's inevitable coronation? Make no mistake, the monarchy is evolving before our very eyes. The royal family, steeped in tradition, is being reshaped by public opinion, digital influence, and generational change. And in this reshuffling of symbols, Catherine hasn't just stepped into the spotlight. She's become the lighthouse guiding the institution toward relevance. This isn't just gossip. It's the beginning of a new royal era, and history may one day remember it not as the reign of King Charles III, but as the quiet rise of Queen Catherine, the people's sovereign. What do you think? Should popularity influence power? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop your opinions in the comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the following video shown on your screen. You will enjoy it.